Hey guys, so it's a late one today. I wanted to try a different time, plus I had a hectic day, so let's see how this goes. I wanted to talk about, as you can see there, I throw the statistics out there, on the Australian Men's Health Report Card. One of the or few of the biggest things that stood out to me were relationships, but also finances. According to the coroner reports, men are 12 times more likely to, or of the suicides committed, 12 times more likely due to financial reasons. So when I talk about understanding and creating your numbers, and I talk about finances, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not sitting here going to give any advice, nor should this be taken as advice. It is to be taken on board to get an understanding of how the numbers are working in your life, okay? So let me start with, obviously, and I'm directing this as men, but ladies, you can definitely listen along and definitely will be able to relate. But as men, a lot of us tend to adopt the belief that we need to be the provider, right? And I spoke about this the other day, and we need to be successful. And as a result of that, we chase these big numbers and we chase these finances, and we keep increasing our costs of living as we earn more money, which often leads us to still be broke, and we increase the stresses on ourselves. Now, life isn't fun being stressed, and you can probably relate to that, right? When it's better when you don't have stresses, especially financial stress. I've been there. I've had a lot of financial stress in my life. And one thing I wish I did years ago, and when I, was speaking about this yesterday, there was two things I did 3 years ago. The first one was understand my basic costs of living, right? And that I truly believe, obviously there's the general one where you can say, righto, let's go food, shelter, clothing, and healthcare, right? That's the standard. Cool, awesome. Depending on where you're at in your life, that could be the standard. That's where I was 5 years ago. As you grow and develop, obviously, your baseline rises, right? So my baseline, for example, right now includes other expenses that I need to have for the baseline that I've created with my business. There's certain things that have outgoings that are a baseline that I need to make sure I sustain in order to keep that bare living, right? That bare base standard of living, okay? Because as I've grown, so have they, and I've chosen to allow them to grow. I'm not just buying shit and spending money for the sake of it. I'm doing it because it supports my vision and my goals, and that's what all of our expenses should do. Okay, so when we look at going through, most of us are just chasing money with no real understanding around what we need to live. So because we're constantly, money's going out, money's coming in, money's going out, we're not tracking it, we don't understand what the fuck's happening, right? We still live with stress. And you think about it, if you've got financial stress right now, think if you're sitting there with it, what does it feel like? I know it used to chew me up inside, sleepless nights, I'd hate checking my bank account, all those sorts of things, and it wasn't a very enjoyable way to live, okay? But had I done this and had I said, right, my basic cost for living, and let's use me 5 years ago, was just to pay for food, was just to pay for rent, and was essentially just to have clothing. Like that's, I didn't have a business back then. I shouldn't have been fucking going out and drinking and doing all that sort of stuff. That's a luxury, right? So my basic, I think that we are reaching the point of non-return. Why is that? Those sorts of things are luxuries, and you whether you think it's even having a mobile phone is a luxury. You don't fucking need it, right? So if you're financially struggling, have a look around you and what you're spending your money on, and go, right, well, which is actually needed for my survival at this point in my life, okay? And which am I just splashing cash on? Because if you can manage to cut those expenses, and once again, this is from my experience, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm just sharing what I've done with this exercise. Cut those expenses, or just look at it and go, right, well, my outgoings are $500 a week. That means I need to find a job or whatever it is, earn that amount of money to have my minimum viable costs paid for. If you can get yourself in the mindset to understand that, you can live in a less stressed space. Yeah, you're not going to be able to do all the fun, fancy things, but that's an area of growth you have to go through, okay? But to have an understanding of what your basic costs are and how you can sort of fund that can give you peace of mind, because if you can, fund that, in my opinion, don't get caught up in the other stress, right? That's an area to grow. That's an area to be excited about. So go on to step 2 when you're creating new numbers. It's your dream lifestyle, right? So when you look at what that dream lifestyle might be, my mentor 3 years ago got me to do it, and I was like, I had an island. I was giving my parents $1,000 each week. I was putting $500 for 3 kids a week into a fund. I had $1,000 a week for investing. I had $1,000 a week for blowing. This was dream. And 3 years ago I was like, fuck, that's crazy, but whatever, let's go for it. Car, island, all these sorts of things. And when I totaled it up, my yearly expenses came at $678,000, right? So I was expecting it to be millions of dollars, but when you do these exercises, Google prices, right? If you're looking at mortgages or cars, or check out what the repayments are, check out all those sorts of things, just so you have an idea, right? And the reason why I say have an idea is because this can then show you what you need to work on around you as an individual. $678,000. I was like, whoa, that's just fucking, well, it's not $1 million. So I was relieved, but I was also like, that's not possible. What I then learned in that is I need to change my money mindset and what I think I'm worth, and how can I upskill. So I started reading, learning, and growing, and changing what I believe is possible, what I could earn. I started learning more about how to save money and how to invest money in myself. Like, my biggest investment is myself. I was then like, okay, well, what I was doing currently then was an hourly rate, and I was getting about $22 an hour. So I was like, that's going to be a lot of hours I have to work in order to get that. So then I started, obviously, entrepreneurship, and I was like, I'm going to figure out a way to create more money. And that's when I started learning how to create more money. I haven't nailed it yet, but I'm like, right, to get from here to here, I'm going to have to learn a few things. So how do I get there? And all these lessons came up in areas that I had flaws, I had weaknesses and stuff that I didn't know. So it can be daunting, but it's also how you perceive it can be those areas that you need to grow in. So the reason why I tell people to understand their dream lifestyle and really get clear on it, I'm not coming at a financial advice point and telling you how to invest or anything. I'm saying you need to go seek help in these areas, or support or education, so that you can get your head around and grow in those areas to be able to become the person you need to be to create that lifestyle. Because if you just look at it and go, that's unattainable, that's exactly what it's going to be. But if you look at it and go, how can I get from where I am to where I need to be? That's when the growth starts. So that's why I get people to start doing those exercises. So that's today's live. And as men, the reason why I wanted to share that, because if I can go from where I went to where I am, I know that anyone can do it if you're willing to put in the work. It's just really like everything. It's communication and it's clarity. When you have clarity on stuff, even if you're in a poor position, right, at least you know where you are and what you've got to improve on. If we don't address it and we keep putting our head in the sand, we can't improve on what we don't track, in my opinion. So if the finances is something, we need to address it head on. And if it's one of the reasons why a lot of men are taking their own life, I think it's something we need to talk about, and we need to seek help on that as well, because it's just another factor that leads to suicide. And we need that ripple effect to help men change their life and help them to understand that whether you earn $40,000 a year or $4 million a year, it doesn't change how worthy you are as an individual. You just got to adjust your lifestyle to suit that. Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you find that valuable, let me know. Reach out to me if you want a worksheet. I've got a worksheet on that one that I've just done up and I'm giving to people, just so you can get a bit better understanding. Once again, it's not financial advice, and I'll never be doing that shit. That's not my thing. I just wanted to put something out there for men, and ladies, you can use it as well to give you a bit of understanding on how to sort of look at your money. Have a great night, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, hold on. We got a thing. The cost of life is absurd. The average wages are not enough. Even if you were single, for instance, I cut everything apart, the gym and the food, and I struggle to put some money away. Yeah, and I can definitely relate to that, Dave. And that's where, you can, in my opinion, it's like, okay, when you're employed, and like I said, I was earning $22 an hour, so I shifted my mindset. I was like, right, the cost of living is outrageous. Yeah, but that's not going to change just because I don't like it. I flipped my mindset. I was like, what can I do to become more valuable, to add additional value to more people, and to increase my rate? Does that make sense? So I think it's, unfortunately, shit happens in life, but rather than being reactive, we've got to learn to be proactive. But that's another topic for another day. I'm going to dinner. Thank you for listening to the Man That Can Project podcast. My name is Lachlan Stuart, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful. If you did, please take a moment to rate and review the Man That Can Project on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with our newest episodes. We'll see you again next time.